Tonight on Let It Rip.
Mayor Dave Bing should have to come live in your neighborhood for a week?
Yes, he should. Let him come and live for 2 days. And I bet you he'll want to make all kinds of changes.
Not everybody is pleased with Mayor Dave Bing and his plan to revitalize the city's neighborhoods. The mayor's confident it'll work, but he admits it'll be a challenge.
I try to be a patient person, but this process have stretched my patience.
I accept full responsibility for my actions and the misdemeanor that I committed.
Plus, former NBA star Jalen Rose goes before the judge to face the music for his drunk driving.
Are our lives really worth that little to you?
20 days in jail for Rose. But was the toughest judge in America too tough? It's time to let it rip. My friend Huel Perkins is letting it rip someplace on vacation tonight. We don't want to talk too much about him because I think he may still be in town. He could be watching. On the panel tonight, State Representative Chanel Jackson, Democrat from Detroit. She wants the best for the city, but can it happen one neighborhood at a time? And she's a Detroit teacher and community activist, never afraid to speak her mind. Crystal Bonner is here. Donna Stinson has taken the problems of Detroit into her own hands. She's a local resident who takes an active role in trying to fix what is wrong. And she's a big star on YouTube. We've been watching her tonight. And we welcome in the heavyweight attorney who tips the scales of justice in our direction, Fox 2 legal analyst Charlie Langton. Coming up a little bit later, the judge who threw the book at Jalen Rose, letting it rip about being called the toughest judge in the country. But first, let's start with what's going on in the city of Detroit. So many people for so many years have said, hey, let's get it fixed. Let's make the neighborhoods better. The mayor says he's going to do that. Is it good?
Yes, it's good if he truly wants to make the neighborhoods better.
Does he?
But why? Okay, go ahead.
Does he truly want to make the neighborhoods better?
To me, no, I don't think he's making the neighborhoods better. Now, I'm a taxpayer. I own property here in Detroit. Now, this thing with the houses, the demolition for the houses, the revitalization. How come you can't start with the communities, the neighborhood block clubs, tear these houses down so it can be safe for their children, our children to be in? I mean, now you're here, you're saying, well, I have this to do. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Once you get in there, you don't understand us, you don't know us. When they say, well, we have to pull up our stomachs and tighten up, no, they don't mean we, they mean us.
And we're talking about neighborhoods like the ones we're seeing on the screen right now. I apologize, Crystal, I cut you off before. Is your neighborhood one that is on tap to be fixed?
No, it's not. I live on the east side of Detroit, not far from Grosse Pointe, Harper Woods. And our neighborhood is not one that's being targeted, and it should be. Right across the street from me, diagonal across the street from me, is a large abandoned former two-family house with a large rotted out tree stuck and leaning on the roof. And there's a school directly across the street from this place. And then there's a church that has a school inside of it, just a little ways down from that. What about that?
And Donna, you have a home that you live in. You have 2 other homes as investment properties. One of them is rented. One of them, you tell me, you can't rent because of the neighborhood that surrounds it.
Well, not so much as the neighborhood, but the abandoned properties. And there's all types of elements going in and out of the properties. Once they board those properties up, they go into my properties. There's nobody there. They've ripped out the wires. I've had to get the house rewired. They've bust windows. We've had to put alarm systems on the house, motion sensors, and it's costing us just to keep the house together before we can. It makes me feel like I'm not being respected as a Detroiter, and it's offensive.
Representative, when you hear people talking about that, you are a member of the community, you live in the city of Detroit. Absolutely. We have a lot of people who say we've got to do this. They all agree on that, but it's how it's being done.
No question, and I've lived in the city my entire life. Certainly, we all know the challenges that face the city. We've seen those stories. I live down the street from some abandoned properties. Certainly we've heard the horror stories about what happens to children in some of these properties. But I think what we saw today, in my estimation, or in the last few days, is an honest move by our mayor to begin to alleviate some of those problems. I think there's a lot of misconceptions.
It's honest or not. I really don't feel like it's honest.
I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Let her finish real quickly here.
Well, what I understand about the plan is this. First of all, they use data data-driven process to really be able to categorize the city into 3 areas, or 3 types, the neighborhoods into 3 types. And what they have done is use that research, and it's market research, so they look at property values, they look at foreclosures, they look at those things. And they determine, after categorizing each neighborhood, where they belong and what their individual needs are. So for the first time, instead of a blanket solution for the entire city, every neighborhood, Rosedale, Brightmoor, whatever, will get an individual Indian Village, an
Look at
individual
this one.
plan
Now,
for their community.
this neighborhood that's on the screen right now is on tap to be one of those chosen neighborhoods, one of the 3.
Look at it.
That's Palmer Woods.
But what the plan does, I mean, we've got to be
But
clear.
it doesn't look like that other one.
For the
that Palmer Park?
but for the first time, and that neighborhood will get addressed too under this plan. For the first time, the city is recognizing, okay, Palmer Woods has different problems than Brightmoor. This is what Brightmoor needs. This is what Palmer Woods needs. So we'll work an individual plan for each of those communities. The 3 targeted communities.
And what happens to the rest of the city while we're on 6 months revitalizing those 3 areas? And Palmer Park, look at that picture. Palmer Park is a pretty stable neighborhood. They don't have burnt out houses in a row like over there on Jefferson, on Bewick off of Jefferson. I went over there canvassing, trying to get petitions to recall Snyder and get rid of that emergency manager law. And I talked to several residents in that block. There's 3 burnt up houses. And one of them directly next to an elderly nice lady, Miss Emily. That house has been burnt down since 2009. She should not have to live in a neighborhood like that at 74 years of age. Living in a neighborhood where you have burnt out houses side by side, and then you look at the Palmer Park. I think attention should be made to all Detroit.
I feel like
but to start at Palmer Park,
in the worst
let's start on the east side.
Donna says start in the worst neighborhood.
Start from the bottom and work your way up, not start from the top and work your way down.
That's a misconception.
Well, isn't it good that we're talking about the neighborhoods, though? At least some neighborhoods. We haven't been talking about Detroit neighborhoods in a long time.
And
now we're talking about
no one should have to live like
Everybody
that.
wants their neighborhood done first. I would want my neighborhood done first. Look at this. Mayor Bing says that the ultimate goal is simple. He says it's to improve the city of Detroit. Let's listen to the mayor for a moment.
Okay.
Our goal is to identify as many strong neighborhoods as we can. That's where we want people to be. We will not force anybody to move. We're hopeful that we can create the right kind of environment, the right kind of amenities, the right kind of services that people will want to move into an area where they know it's going to be strong and they can get city support on an ongoing basis.
Does anybody here have a problem with what they just heard?
Absolutely not.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
what's your problem?
Yes, I have a problem with it.
What did you...
Why concentrate on just a certain area?
Not doing that. That's absolutely
he
not
didn't
what
talk
they're
about
doing.
the neighborhoods in there.
Every area is going to be attacked within 14 days. Those 3 communities, and by the way,
But
it's
I
not
thought
just
the whole revitalization plan was 6 months in those 3 areas.
Have to start. I'm missing something here. But I'm missing something here. For so many years, the neighborhoods of Detroit have been ignored. I've heard that in election after election after election.
That's right.
Now the mayor is talking about revitalizing some neighborhoods, and I understand if the mayor was talking about your neighborhood, you'd feel great about it,
But the
right?
mayor's talking
So
about
we've
the
got to
entire
prioritize. We've got to start somewhere. The mayor is doing it. Isn't that good?
Building up on the east side? Isn't that where it started?
But you're arguing about where to build.
Waterfront. Build up the east side of Detroit.
Let's start somewhere.
It's
people
not
into
just
our city.
my neighborhood.
When you have,
it's the neighborhoods in which I'm going to have people that I want to rent my house to be in. I want the neighborhood to be a nice neighborhood, and and I know that's supposed to be the goal. But in 2005, Bing was cleaning up over by Oakland and all this and doing. But I mean, then it's like when he got mayor, he said that I'm gonna do this, but he hasn't done anything. Everything is business.
Okay, but we're starting to do something now. It's not all the neighborhoods; they can't all be done at one time.
But he's been doing this since 2005.
Okay, let me take a picture. Let me take a look at some of the pictures that you shot and you posted up on YouTube to show the world what you think is wrong about your neighborhood. Now, take a look at that. It was a walking tour that you did, and it's up on YouTube. Did this do anything for you? What did this do? Did you get any response from this?
No, I did not get any response from the mayor.
Did you want response from
Yes, I wanted response from the mayor. And not
from
only
the mayor,
that, my husband...
But did you get response from other people who watched it?
On YouTube, yes, I did. Some on my Facebook also. But what I'm trying to show the mayor is, you always say that you're going to do something, but my husband has been calling the Housing Commission for almost 2 years about this house, and nobody has done anything. I shouldn't have to, somebody that's supposed to be watching over my city, I shouldn't have to go through this to get a response.
I'll be glad to help you with that. We're going to exchange information on that. Let me just say this really fast.
That's positive that came out of this discussion right here. What can you do about that?
Well, the first thing we can do is be honest. Government is not going to fix every one of those problems. Mayor Bing or the next mayor is not going to be able to do that. That right there is a community issue. I'll partner with you to start a team on your block or wherever.
That is a neighborhood block. That is a neighborhood block.
But that's my point of view.
And the neighborhood is doing that.
We are being proactive. We're being proactive by calling the city and reporting these problems, and they need to answer the call. You want to increase city services, then why don't you answer the phone call? Why don't you start with that, Mayor Bing? Answer the phone call.
Okay, one at a time. Will you join hands with her and try to work out a solution? State representative says she wants to do it. She wants to work on that.
I'm ready.
Well, she just mentioned her. Are you referring to me too?
I think it's everybody. I think it's everybody.
It's one Detroit.
And then you have 3 burnt up houses over there on Bewick off of Jefferson.
Detroit. We're going to do a follow-up to this.
I will do what I can do. I will partner with them. Right. We'll make it happen together.
And I appreciate you.
We're going to have our cameras out there and do it. What do you think? Is the mayor on the right track, or has he been sidetracked by issues? I want to tell you something. Fox 2's Charlie LaDuff has examples of people who say we can't see the progress because they're buried under problems, just like some of the people that you saw here. Are they going to get help? You can read Charlie's Off the Chain column at myfoxdetroit.com. It's on the homepage. And sound off, we may use your comments on the air. Who knows? We may invite you to be on one of the next Let It Rips. Thank you all for being here tonight and discussing this issue and getting something done. I think we got something done.
You did it. You brokered a deal today. You solved the problem.
No, we didn't solve it.
Right.
Murray Feldman for mayor. Here you go. There we go. Right there.
We didn't solve any problem. We're getting there yet.
That's right.
Thank you all very much for that. Still to come on Let It Rip, former NBA star Jalen Rose. We've talked about this before. He gets 20 days in jail for his first drunk driving offense. Was that too harsh? Why do other first-timers only get probation? We'll talk to the toughest judge in America when it comes to DUI cases. It's next when Let It Rip comes right back.